All right, excellent. Well, we will kick it off. First of all, I'll echo what Carrie said. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time today. We hope this is informative and really helpful for everyone. So, this is the first of three webinars we're going to be doing. And this one is an info session, and we're going to do a quick overview of the program itself. I'll show you what the agenda is. So we'll go over what ChargeUp is and any of the new energy New York battery tech hub and how they're related. We'll go over the program itself, how it's going to run, what it's going to look like on a day-to-day basis for you, the benefits, who we're looking for in terms of what type of company should we be applying. We'll go over the application process and timeline, and then any Q&A you have, we can answer. So I'm going to turn it over now to Bandana Katoch to lead us off.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm Bandana Katoch, principal investigator of this particular program. ChargeUp is designed as a NSF award experiment. So in the first two cohorts, we did go through developing various curriculum accelerator that makes it strong with two null hypotheses for all the scientists and engineers in the room here, looking at the focus of investment readiness and manufacturing readiness. So our goal was that could we develop a holistic approach, both with respect to curriculum, various aspects that is needed for companies to advance in a way that after this program, they are ready for an investment or manufacturing. Keeping that hypothesis in mind, we have structured this program modeled after Luminate, which is one of the world's largest, world's largest accelerator for startups in optics photonics out of Rochester, hosted under NextCorp, and a manufacturing accelerator program that is also run by NextCorp. So with that perspective and a context, this is a 6-month accelerator program where we have successfully now completed 2 cohorts of the program, and now the applications are open for the 3rd cohort. This particular program is powered by New Energy New York. Thank you, Andy. New Energy New York is a foundational program supported by US EDA BBRC Build Back Regional Challenge. Binghamton University was the recipient of that award in 2022, September 2022. So the groundwork that was already part of this ecosystem was further kind of congregated to develop this US battery ecosystem. And we got designation in September 2023 for the only battery tech hub, recognized battery tech hub at a national level. What you see here is the 14 counties that are currently covered under tech hub. We have now in upstate New York been able to develop various aspects of supply chain for battery manufacturing, workforce training, infrastructure that all has been supported through this foundational grant. And for all of you who are following federal news, we were also the recipient of NSF and Energy Storage Engine, one of the only universities in the country which was designated with all 3 economic development focused initiative across EDA and NSF. Next slide, please. I want to introduce the program staff that is engaged in this program. I mentioned I'm Bandana Katoch, the PI on this grant, but I also hold the position of Associate Vice President of Office of Entrepreneurship and Innovation Partnership. Co-leading this session today is Andy Simon, Operation Lead for this program. Kerry Bayat, who introduced and welcomed you all today, Marketing Manager for the program. Nicholas Zwerlin, I don't know if he is on call today or not, Client Relation Manager at Kaufman Incubator. And Kevin Kaubimana, ChargeUp Program Intern, SOM student who is working extensively with us in the program. Next slide, please. Okay, over to you, Andy.
All right, excellent. So what you're probably all wondering is what does it actually mean to be in the program itself? So it is a 6 month program, as Bondana mentioned, and it's a hybrid program with the majority of it virtual, and then we do in-person weeks, I believe about 5 out of the 6 months. And so the way it works is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, at least we've done this the past 2 years at this time, at noon is when we do our curriculum courses. So we do everything that's planned well in advance so that you're able to plan at least a month out your calendar and know exactly, hey, what's going on and what's happening with the program. These classes are all geared towards how do you help scale your business and make you more investor ready. And the classes are not only just for the founders, there could be, I'll use an example, a class on sales, and you might want to have other team members join. That is highly, highly recommended. So yes, obviously we need to have the founders and the co-founders involved, but anybody else from your team that can benefit from any of the curriculum or any of the coursework we do, we want them involved as well, because the more people involved, the more benefit for you guys. So as mentioned, what we do is our goal is to get you more investor ready. So we work everything backwards from like a due diligence folder, and all of our curriculum and training gets focused on, hey, how do we fill that due diligence folder? How do we do training so to allow you to get those documents and those skills ready to go? The in-person weeks, they are going to be mostly in Binghamton, New York, but we did one last year and we plan on doing one this year as long as the timing aligns, to do in Rochester. And what we do there is we partner with the RIT and we go through a battery course there. So you get introduced to other coalition partners, other NENI partners, basically the entire ecosystem. We met with Kodak at that time as well. And then we did tours around the Binghamton area. We did BAE, we did Raymond, Intertech. So the goal is with the in-person weeks doing a couple different things. One, getting the curriculum that you really need to be in person for, whether it's like one-on-one sales training, which is kind of hard to do over Zoom, introducing you to the ecosystem partners and getting you introduced to the Intertechs and the RITs of the world. So the other part of the program is the mentors, which we'll get into a little bit more later. But the velocity, I guess, or frequency is that you'll be having bi-monthly or excuse me, bi-weekly meetings with your mentors, which we'll get into a little bit later how they get assigned and how they work. And that really is to help you drive your milestones and get you investor ready as well. As mentioned, it's all really focused on the due diligence folder. If you think about that as sort of the end goal and how do you get there, it's building everything and those components to build it out. And at the end, we did an investor summit. We do that, at least we did last year in New York City. And that is a pitch event where you're being introduced to corporates, investors, and ecosystem partners. And it's really another way to get in front of investors. Throughout the program itself, which I'll get to actually on the next slide here, is the curriculum, which I mentioned a little bit, but part of the curriculum is, you get your sales, your HR, your marketing, all the things that you would need. But one of the things we're doing and we're really focusing on, especially this cohort, is how do we make this very battery specific? So I think on the call, I can't see all the people that are on here, but Virgil Beeston is on here, I believe, and he was one of our instructors last year. And Virgil has launched numerous companies, built manufacturing out in China, all battery focused, and was a phenomenal presenter. And so you're not just getting, hey, here's sales training and how to go out and make a sale, or here's some marketing, or here's whatever the case is. It's very battery specific and very focused. And we're going to do even more of that this year than we did last year. So that's super key in terms of what we do. The other piece that we do is we work heavily on your pitch. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have a good pitch and a good pitch deck, uh, it doesn't really matter. So we do a lot of heavy curriculum, say April through end of July. And then starting in August, I mean, we do pitch work before then, but in August, we actually are starting to put you in front of investors. We do what's called a 5x5 pitch, where you do a 5-minute pitch, 5-minute feedback from the investors. And it's a friendly way to be put in front of investors where you're asking for advice, not money. And generally, when you ask for money, you get advice. If you ask for advice, you get money. So it's a real nice way to actually put you in front of investors before an investor summit and get you prepped on the questions you're going to be asked and how to get your pitch deck. It iterates each week and it gets better and better and better. So with that, I'm going to turn it over back to Bonner to discuss about the facilities.
So as I mentioned, thank you, Andy. As I mentioned in the previous slide, couple of slides before, that what we have been able to put together here in upstate New York, and I have been trying to, if you take Binghamton as a center and you draw a radius where you have to drive to any point or draw a circle with a radius of 2 hours of drive, you have all those facilities available. Everything from Intertech to RIT, Battery Prototyping Center, we have built very strong connections with everything you need from lab scale to the marketplace. We are also in the process of launching Battery New York, which is part of New Energy New York initiative through BPRC grant that I mentioned. That facility will be ready next year, where you will have the entire modulation of small scale to large scale manufacturing capabilities within Binghamton, and that you don't even have to drive 2 hours. You can do it within 10 minutes. So our goal was, when we approached this initiative, was this particular program, is when a company comes to us, they are not only looking for guidance, they are also looking for hands-on resources. And so we wanted to make sure that this program is as strong as it is in its curriculum, should also be equally strong in the facilities and access and affordable facilities for the companies who are engaging in the program. So that's what we have been able to put together, nationally recognized world-class facilities in this region. Another component to this program, which took a lot of effort to put together, is we have been able to put together 15 advisory board members. What you see here is kind of handful of them represented on the slide here. But I was very conscious in putting these particular ones, as you see, John Lemon from Breakthrough Energy, right-hand man of Bill Gates, who, if you're familiar in this space, Breakthrough Energy Fellow, runs that program, very extensively engaged in the program. Jim Greenberger from NatBat, Balki Iyer, serial entrepreneur in the field, exited his zinc chemistry-based battery company, and now he is on the battery recycling Bridge Green Upcycle, another company that he has been. And what you see on the second line is all the corporate-focused mentors. Specifically, I'll highlight Catherine, because we, you can move on to the next slide too, so that I can continue talking about Catherine. Catherine, CEO and president of Simplify Power, exit that company, has been extensively involved in UL certification and various other regulatory aspects of battery and energy storage company. This has been her experience working with ChargeUp companies for the last 2 cohorts. We understand that when companies are working, we are asking for a lot of time, with the hope that by the time you end this program, you are ready to go in front of investors and you have advanced in your manufacturing capabilities. So right from the beginning, when we designed this program, we were very conscious of supporting and bringing in a financial support of $25,000 that you all will receive as part of being the finalist in the program, participating in the program. This is non-dilutive stipend that is given to you to participate in the program. Follow on to that, through New Energy New York, we have technical assistance program that makes you eligible for that program. And just to highlight something, cohort 1 had seen a lot of applicants, and in cohort 2, the recent announcement of technical assistance program, 50% of the companies that have won the technical assistance program are ChargeUp cohort 2 or ChargeUp alumni companies from the 2 cohorts, that they have been able to secure 75 to 100K as a technical development program under that. So that's also an opportunity for you to apply.
So if I can just interject and add one point, I cannot stress this enough. As someone, I've founded my own company, not in the battery space, and I've worked with hundreds of other startups and different accelerators. The key component is the accelerator provides all of this to you, and we actually invest in you without taking equity to actually participate. It is, I haven't seen a program like this, so it is incredibly valuable and highly competitive to get in, which we'll get into that in just a moment. But I just want to kind of stress that enough that you're actually being paid to participate, which is phenomenal.
Thank you, Andy.
So let me go
Oh,
into, oh, I'm sorry, go on.
no, this is you.
Okay. So basically, you're probably wondering, okay, what are we looking for? So you have to be a US based startup because we're NSF funded, it has to be US based. You can be a foreign company that has a US base and has US offices, but you have to have US presence. Uh, Obviously, it has to be the battery supply chain, battery support. That's the whole focus of this entire program. The stage is it has to be proven at lab scale. So it can't be at idea stage. It can't be, TRL level one. You have to be at least at lab scale. But that is not necessarily the focus of our cohorts. They tend to be a broad based of going from, I'll call it lab scale up to Series A, if you're looking from a funding perspective that are already out in the marketplace and selling. So we do take a wide range of companies in this space in terms of where they are in the development level. You have to have at least two people full-time working on this. It's a key component because one, from your company perspective, and then two, being able to participate in the program. And then, as I mentioned, having the C-level members participate, and it can be rotating members. So it could be the CEO is coming to in-person week number one, where the CTO is coming to in-person week number two or three. So you can rotate around. You can also send as many of your team as you think would be valuable. The only thing that we ask is if we're doing stuff that's very technical for, say, in-person week number three, that would be the one to make sure your CTO comes to versus sending them to the sales one, or just try to make them aligned with who's showing up with what we're working on. And as mentioned, you'll have advance notice, at least a month, if not more, for all of the training and the curriculum. So if you
I
want to highlight
wanted
it, yes.
Sure. I wanted to give spotlight to ATL System, which was one of our cohort one company, and they went through the process of the program. They also were they were a very small cohort of 4 companies. It's a company which is focused on electrode materials and manufacturing innovations. And if any one of you attended Battery Show in Detroit today, this year, which was earlier in October, they were named as Battery Manufacturer of the Year. That is their recent accomplishment. But since then, what they have been able to do is they have partnered with New York-based Kodak for toll manufacturing of electrode. I also want to specifically highlight that they have been able to secure non-dilutive 350K from NSF Upstate Energy Storage Engine, the third initiative that I had mentioned in my introductory slide, and have been able to secure 1 million investment from Tittleton Startup Draft Competition. Again, that's an additional funding that they have received from this ecosystem, which they were not even aware of when they started the program. So there were definitely a simmering about this ecosystem because Dr. Stan Whittingham won the Nobel Prize as a lithium-ion inventor in 2019. So some attention upstate New York certainly have been able to, but in these last few years, what we have been able to put together is just the tip of the iceberg that we can show you through these information webinars. You really have to come here to understand the impact of what has happened here in last few years. Next slide, please.
Okay, so how do you actually apply? So we host our applications on F6S, and so a number of, tons of programs do. So you might already have a profile on there, but if you don't, it's very simple. You're going to create a profile. You will answer our questions. Basically, what we're looking for, obviously, is just the overall company, your technology, really also your business case. Because again, it's great to have amazing tech, but if you don't have customers or you don't have a way to get to customers, it's really not, then you're just your research piece where we're really looking for companies that we can help scale. So it's alignment in that sense as well. We do ask you to submit a short video. We don't care if it's done on your phone and just selfie style. It's really not about production. It's really about just hearing the founders themselves tell us their business and their value proposition in their own words, which is a really key component to be able to do. So the timeline itself, so the applications are open right now and they close on January 19th. The process that we do to getting companies to get into the program is you'll be notified about 2 weeks beforehand, and then we have what we call a pitch week. So you will pitch. It will be either a 7 or 10 minute pitch, I can't recall, and then another 10 or 15 minutes of Q&A. And you'll be pitching not only to the team that you'll see here today, but also to our board members, as well as any outside experts we would bring in that would be specific to your company. So you're pitching to the people that will be your mentors and your advisors if you make it into the program. So they're the ones that help choose and determine what this cohort is made up of. So our goal is to, excuse me, have everybody selected on March 2nd. And then we give you about 2 weeks to fill out the paperwork, which is really simple because again, we're not taking equity. So very simple paperwork. And then we kick off the program in April with our first in-person week, which will be in Binghamton. And then the program runs through, depending on our timeline, late September or early October, just depending on when we can schedule our summits and those type of things. So before we get onto the questions, even getting back to Rajan from ATOs, there's going to be a webinar that's going to be next month. It's on December 10th. And you've heard about ChargeUp through me. You've heard about it through Bandana. We think it's really important if you hear about it from the people who've actually gone through the program. So Rajan is going to be one of the participants on the webinar itself. It will be a very open and honest roundtable. They'll tell you the good, the bad, hopefully there is no ugly, but they will be honest with you. And you can get real feedback. Hey, what's it like to be in the program? How did you feel it benefited your company? And get the information from them so it's not just coming from us and you can get any questions answered. So it's a really important webinar for you can truly get a sense of what the program is like to be in the program and what it's like to be when you graduate from the program and how we still stay connected and how there's benefits that can be held there. So with that, as I mentioned, applications close on the 19th. My email is there below. I'll answer anything you guys have if you don't get an answer here. And we will be sending out, as Carrie mentioned, email after this with a copy of the recording once this is ready as well. So with that being said, let's open it up to any questions. I don't know if Carrie, if you want to read them off or how you'd like to get this done.
Thanks, Andy. Yep, we've had a couple of questions here in the chat. Bandana has been able to reply to a couple of them. One is from Ellie Rustling of Micro Era Power, and she's leading an innovation in thermal energy storage to mitigate some challenges for the electric grid, like meeting cooling demands on hottest days of summer, no lithium, no fire hazard. So her question is if this is interesting for ChargeUp, if she should apply.
I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to let Bandana jump in. Would you have a little more expertise?
Yes.
Sure. No, I think we look across battery and energy storage, the entire supply chain. So I would encourage you to apply for the program.
Yeah. There was also a question from a previous control company. So as Bandana mentioned earlier, the origin of this program is an NSF experiment. So there were companies that previously participated, but in a different way, right? Not as the alumni who they'll be meeting in the next webinar. So I believe that control companies are absolutely welcome to apply to cohort 3. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And then there was another question about applying for the program with a demo, but not a successfully running company.
A demo, but not a successfully running it. I'm not sure if I understand what a demo company is. If they mean by the product is a demonstration mode, but the company's going to need to be incorporated, whether it's a C corp in Delaware or even an LLC in New York or whatnot. So you do have to have an incorporated business. So if I'm reading through the question a little bit, I hopefully I'm answering. If it's not being answered, put it back in the chat and clarify, and we'll get the right answer to you.
Yeah, and Bandana did address this answer in the chat, so thank you very much for that, Bandana. Then we had another question from a faculty member who is an NSF Career Awardee and has multiple patented technologies, but I'm not sure if that's in a corporation structure. So I think it's probably a similar question of, and probably a similar answer that you need to be incorporated in order to
Yes.
participate.
Yep. Incorporated, 2 full-time
Yeah.
employees.
Yes.
Yeah, we encourage that even if there is a technology from the university who is looking to initiate and participate in the program, they need to license the technology to their company, and then have 2 full-time employees working on that. We have seen a mix. Sometimes employees can also be on a vesting schedule, but as long as they are considered as a full-time employee for the company, those are 2 major eligibility criteria. And the reason for that criteria is this is extensive amount of funding that we are providing. Also, we worked very hard to bring in the right investors and right partners for you in the room. And if it is not a formalized company, they also don't know who is the one they are reaching out to. And that is why having a formal company allows them to build on the relationship more constructively. And full-time requirement is just because we upfront accept the fact that our curriculum is extensive. The engagement in the program is fairly extensive. But if you go through it, there is a fantastic reward on the other side.
If I can add one note to that as well, there's not just, obviously coming to the program and getting all the program benefits. One benefit we haven't mentioned is the actual cohort itself. Being part of a cohort amongst the other companies, and you'll hear this if you attend the webinar as well, the connections that they made internally, the support they gave each other internally, the business connections, not just, actually doing business together, has been very strong. And even between cohort 1 and cohort 2. So at our investor summit this year, we actually invited cohort 1 companies to pitch as well too. So it's a very, I'll call it family-like, for lack of a better term, uh, setup that we have going here and that we plan on continuing with.
Yeah. Thanks for those answers and elaborations on that. There was a question about in previous cohorts, what's been the mix of New York-based versus out-of-state applicants?
In cohort 1, we didn't have any, in the subject companies, we didn't have any New York-based companies. They were spread out from Virginia to Indiana, different states. In cohort 2, we had out of the 7 companies that were selected, 2 were in New York State and rest 5 was from out of New York State. If you're asking this question with an intent that you are a company outside New York State, I would still encourage you to apply because this program is being run by NSF funded initiative. And so we have a mandate to go across the entire United States. We can't go beyond United States, but any US incorporated companies, we highly encourage you to apply. Harry, you go ahead.
Yeah. There was a question about what's the criteria for who can receive follow-on funding after the program.
So follow-on funding, the technical assistance program that I mentioned is a separate program, has its own external reviewers. So you will have to go through a competitive selection. But as I was mentioning, that the recent announcement that has happened for the round 3 participant of the program, 50% of the awardees are from ChargeUp cohorts. So even though you're being competitively selected, but I hope if we are doing our job well, as the program staff, hopefully as an entire collective of the program, hopefully you are not only getting better in your investment readiness and manufacturing, you're also becoming competitively better across the spectrum for such programs.
Perfect. Thank you, Vandana. There's two questions that kind of flow in the same area, so I might try to combine it a little bit and hopefully address it. And that is, looking at software-based companies or SaaS companies, that are working in AI, but also focusing on battery energy storage system operations. Is that ideal for applying to ChargeUp? And then there's a follow-up with that. But first, I'll address the software piece.
So for this program, we are focused on the entire battery supply chain, which means from raw materials, processing, packaging, various battery chemistries, battery applications, any kind of best management operations, and then battery recycling. So it is anything that further advances and makes domestic manufacturing more resilient in the sector of battery energy storage. So if your company resonates with this message, you are eligible for the program.
Perfect. Thank you. That was really helpful. And one of those companies was also asking about routes to pilot customers in that area. If we've done that for companies in this program so far, or maybe after the program. I don't know if either of you can elaborate on that piece.
So one of the component that we organize, as Andy mentioned, that we diligently structure our in-person weeks. One of the in-person weeks is focused on a regional interaction with all the suppliers, potential customers. We invite them here in person for you to have interaction with them. Some of them can translate into different kinds of strategic partnership. Another example I would give, as I mentioned about ATOs, they met with Kodak during the in-person week, started working with them, and now they are already partnering with them to go to the next step for their toll manufacturing. Another example I would give is the company which has recently been selected. One of our partners is the Clean Fight, which connect you to the uptakers. And so that is also part of the aspect is introducing you to the right partners that can lead to pilot customers. How you then entertain those relationships is definitely on your company. And if it is a strategic fit to the customers we are introducing now or in a year later, is definitely something you have to work on as a company. But our goal is to make sure that we put you in front of enough stakeholders in this industry so that you could find your relevant customers or strategic partners.
Thank you. We have kind of an adjacent question to that. We have somebody who's joined us and they're developing regenerative dampers for electric vehicles. It's not working directly on battery technology. They have similar customers, investment portfolio categories, and the technology is complementary to battery efficiency. Would they be considered an ideal applicant to the program?
I would air that response a little bit with caution. There is definitely, we definitely stretch a bit to see. We have worked with a company in the last cohort, which was a battery health company. And that was definitely a stretch on that because, it certainly didn't fit in the domestic manufacturing resilience piece that I mentioned a few minutes ago. So definitely there are examples. We have made a stretch where you are looking at the technologies which can be ancillary to battery industry, either making them more efficient or the customers more efficient. So I would say in that sense, definitely would say that you should apply. I don't know if I can comfortably say ideal candidate because that's always tricky. That's something will depend on the external reviewer. This program has very strong competitive selection. We get close to 100 plus companies, and we select 8 or 9 companies. So you can understand there is a lot of external review where the stretch goes. So definitely encourage you to apply. And then we'll go through the selection and see how it works out.
All right. Thank you, Bandana. I was really excited to bring up this question for this group here. We have a company who's at a TRL 9 and needs help in design for production and UL certification and product testing by a third party. Are they, should they be applying to ChargeUp?
Yes.
And
They
can
definitely
we help them?
I'm going to say yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So there are two things. I always try that communication should be very transparent, and so I would say definitely you should apply, and the program is designed to help. But if you are TRL 9, and if it is self-identified TRL 9, or if you have worked with an industry expert to identify that, I would not know. But if you're TRL 9, a lot of our curriculum is focused for companies between TRL 1 to TRL 6. TRL 9 is a little bit of an advanced in terms of investment readiness, because if you're TRL 9, I would think you are looking for raising about 20 million or something like that. That's a little bit advanced than what our program typically caters to. And I say this because we always want to be cautioned that your peers may not be at the same TRL level as you when you are looking at that. But from a manufacturing readiness level, certainly we can support. I would also like to highlight, I know this is a ChargeUp program, but I think with the description you have given, you are a better fit also for technical assistance program. So I would encourage you to look into New Energy New York technical assistance program. Our round 4 will be coming out sometime in January, February, Q1 of 2026. So please be on a lookout for that. If you want to subscribe to our newsletter, please do that so that you know when the program is opening. And then there is a second program for product certification. I don't have the details for it, but you can certainly send an email to Kerry Bayat or myself or Andy, and we can put you in touch with or give you details for product certification that we have recently launched, where you are able to get up to 20,000, I believe, for product certification. Didn't want to take it away from ChargeUp, but again, this is to showcase that once you are into this ecosystem, you have a lot of these ancillary programs, because our goal is to support battery startup companies through our various programs. ChargeUp is one of them, from their lab to marketplace.
Thank you. We had a recent question asking about a company that's looking for places to locate their CAM manufacturing. And they'd like to locate nearby materials characterization and cell manufacturing facilities that they could partner with. Could we elaborate on some facilities that might be available for program participants?
So Binghamton University, of course, one of the major areas they're focused on is battery and energy storage. One of the other areas where we bring in a strength across Binghamton and across SUNY system is semiconductor. And we have a lot of material categorization center of excellence here in Binghamton University, and we work as a partner organization with them. There are partner offices within universities, so certainly we will be more than happy to either share those facilities. They have posted it on the website, so you are aware of what facilities they have under material categorization. We also partner very closely with RIT out of Rochester, and they also have facilities that are focused on material characterization. So as I mentioned, Binghamton as a center, draw a radius with a 2-hour driving distance, and you will have that information with you, or a facility that caters to your need.
Yeah, I would also say that we could add to that, right, that Battery New York, while not up and running, is also, in the very near future plans to be opening, which is a pilot manufacturing and prototyping facility for, chemistry and format agnostic solutions for batteries, right? So, so the region has a rich future in all of that too. Let's see. There are a couple of other specific questions. We have a question from a faculty member who's on sabbatical at the moment. They've incorporated their company while on sabbatical. Would they be a qualified applicant to ChargeUp if they're considered full-time working on their innovations while on sabbatical?
100%.
Yep.
Okay.
If you are a professor and you took a sabbatical, you literally took a sabbatical to work on your company, you are considered as a full-time employee for your company, and you should be able to apply as a full-time employee for the company.
Perfect. There was another company that only has 2 part-time employees and not eligible in that sense. And they're curious about supply chain exposure to opportunities for that company. And that makes me think about the New York Best supply chain database that they should absolutely be looking at.
So I think when you say 2 part-time employees, different companies in the startup world that I have seen, sometimes they are working 50% and they have a vesting schedule of 50%. Those can be different permutation combinations. So I would say if you're 2 people working in a company, have the flexibility to join the curriculum in person as a tag team, you should at least apply and see. And if we have follow-up questions, we can always ask that. Regarding the supply chain resources, I would encourage you. I know Kerry had posted New Energy New York link to website here in chat. Please review that website. There is a component for supply chain there, which lists different resources that are currently available through our New Energy New York initiative at large, beyond ChargeUp.
Perfect. We have a question from an attendee that they've already have an effective and established supply chain and implemented a web app and a strong partnership with leading battery manufacturers and some preliminary operations and sales. Do they qualify as an applicant for ChargeUp?
Yes.
I would say yes. And of course, Andy, you can say more,
Yeah.
but the way I think is great that you already have validation from a customer, you are already partnering. But if you are looking in that stage of your development, if you're looking for an investment in the near future of 1 year, or you are looking to from an app perspective, maybe not a manufacturing, but increasing your subscription base, then I think definitely you would be eligible to apply.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that you're looking to be raising money, if you're not past a Series A, let's use that as sort of a benchmark. I think that you're in a very sweet spot for us to be able to assist.
Great. Thank you. We had another question come in that's really great about ChargeUp. So for the mentor and corporate network, is there a designated time to connect during the program, or do they engage earlier? For the in-person weeks, how much time is scheduled versus flexible?
So if I'm understanding the question correctly, if they're asking, can they engage the mentor network before the program starts? Am I catching that first part of the question correct?
I think it's during the program. Do they engage earlier? I'm looking to see if
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure. So let me.
The question is regarding during the program, just to clarify.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so during the program, what happens is usually it's the first week, if I remember correctly, you do an introduction to the entire mentor group. And we're going to actually do some updates this year of how we can even make that stronger. So you will be within 2 weeks talking to mentors. So that hopefully answers that part of the question. The second half, I think, can you repeat the second half, Carrie, so I can make sure I answer that?
Sure. And for the in-person weeks, how much of the time is
I got
scheduled
it.
versus flexible?
So generally what we do is we try to give a couple hours a day. We'll break it up a little bit sometimes. So we make sure that you have availability to either take other meetings. You have to run your businesses. We understand that. So it's not going to be 9 to 9 or excuse me, 9 to 5 every day. There might be one day that is a full day, but there's always a break. But we generally schedule in general, maybe a couple hours a day that are available that you'll have open and you'll know in advance.
That's right. I think we have addressed all of the questions that were in the chat. And we were aiming to end at 12:45, but we can hold a little space for
Sure.
anybody else who wants to come off mute and ask Andy or Bandana any questions.
Have at it.
It's a challenge for who's comfortable with uncomfortable silences, and I'm not one of them.
There is it like what are in-person requirements, kickoff or final investor summit? Is that something we addressed?
Right. Somebody came in
Okay.
late and
Okay.
was asking a couple of those general questions. We could go back to that slide if you'd like to, Andy.
Which slides? I didn't catch that.
Just going over just some of the basics, like what being in the program looks like.
Got
So
it.
that was
Give me a
earlier.
moment. So that would be this.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'll do sort of a quick overview again, and it's basically we do programming on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You'll meet with your mentors bi-weekly. You'll actually meet with our team internally as well, bi-weekly as well. Everybody's working off of either an OKR or SMART goal that we'll determine from the beginning of the program, and that's how we sort of are measuring how we're getting places. You'll be working on your pitch from day one. And then usually in August is where you really start being put in front of investors so that by the end of the program, late September, early October, however the investor summit timeline lays out, you are being put in front of investors and you are as teed up as you possibly can be at that point in time.
Thanks, Andy. And actually, Edson Perez was the one who asked that question, and they are still on the call. So hopefully that answered your question. Do another call. Does anybody else have any other questions? All right. Very good. Well, thanks everybody
Yeah,
for
I just
attending.
wanted to
Oh,
ask a
go
quick.
right ahead. Sorry.
I was curious what the most successful team you've seen come through this program, and what was the toughest challenge they faced getting to market, and how specifically did they achieve or overcome that?
So
Right. Okay.
success is very interesting to measure, right? In the first company, cohort one, we already highlighted ATOs, the three other companies that were there. Standard Potential had Breakthrough Energy Fellowship and Activate Fellowship that year that they were able to receive. Mito raised $3 million during that time. So that was the success of those four companies. In the second
For
cohort.
sure. I was just interested in what the greatest challenge was that they faced. Like, how did they? What was the realistic boulders that lay ahead, so to say? You know. I was just using the
That's a tough
success as like a
question to.
benchmark.
Right.
Yeah,
If
go
I can
ahead.
jump in, every company is going to be different. I can give you, without using specific companies' names, I know one company that their challenge was, hey, are they going to be a manufacturing company or are they going to be a materials company? And how are they going to figure, it's completely different routes. And the program helped them determine how they're going to go and which way they're going to go, which then puts them in front of investors in a completely different way. You have other companies that their challenge would be, hey, they're already out in the marketplace. How do they actually scale or how do they actually, go to market, bigger than just a small pilot?
Yeah.
So each company is going to be, every company's at different stages. They have a different challenge. Maybe somebody's only working with the military and they want to get out to more commercial, or they want to get into the military. So there's been a little bit of, I guess, everything, but that's really where the mentors and really where the one-on-one comes in with the program because every company needs something. You're all startups, you're all trying to raise money, you're all trying to go from A to B or B to C, but where you are in that stage and what your specific need is always going to be very individualized.
Oh, thank you.
Going once, going twice. All right, should we call
All
it
right.
then?
We're calling it
All right.
12:52. Thanks everybody for attending.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing your applications.
Yes. If you have
Thank you.
questions, you have my email, and hopefully we'll see you on the next webinar as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.